defend our rights. Great start. It's the beginning of a conversation, obviously, not the end. It's the invitation to a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And they are looking for women to join. They're looking for people to join. The DC Project is about women. It's about where it began is they looked for 50 women from 50 states to go to DC every year to talk to the legislators there. But it is women exclusively that go to DC to talk to the legislators. But it's and it is a very female focused group. But they'll accept input from everybody. So
you know what? They'll accept support from anyone. My credit card's good with them.
Yeah.
And there have been, I want to be fair, there have been guys that have gone along. They go, I'll ride along and I'll sit outside in the waiting room while you guys talk to the legislator. I'm just along as a fifth wheel. I'm thinking of our buddy Bob Campbell. There are lots of ways to show support. I love it.
Absolutely. Let me get Charlie just commented over on the Facebook side. What a brilliant video, he says. And George over on the YouTube side says, greetings to A Defenders. You are fighting for one right that matters. And YouTube, when I looked over YouTube, you may not have gotten to see that DC Project videos. I looked over, YouTube was having a problem starting. So I would encourage you, if YouTube started late, go look up the DC Project. Look up their latest video, because it's a good video. I'm looking forward to seeing what the third one is.
It is on their website. Well,
and let me make sure. I'm going to go ahead and as we're talking here, Rob, I'm going to get the link, and I'm going to get this video put over both on the Facebook side and on the YouTube side, so that people can go over and
click on it so that they have the link to refer to later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and Gabby certainly has a story to tell. Hi, she was an Olympian, and she goes, wow, my country was disarmed and now it's run by thugs, and that's a one-way trip. We can't defend ourselves. They have the guns, we don't. We need to be careful about our elections. The classic joke amongst communist countries, one man, one vote, one time. After we gain control, that'll never happen again. And we're seeing that repeated right now in Florida. In fact, a judge said, hey, no more. That was what you did last time. That was illegal to have mail-in votes. You show up, you show an ID, you vote. And now we've already got people saying, oh no, that's voter discrimination. And I expect that we'll see COVID, mid-October come back, so that we can again claim that we have to have mail-in votes. Wow. So no, they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. We did see Colorado say, if you're a gun owner, you've just been disenfranchised at the polls. You can't concealed carry at the polls. The solution in search of a problem.
I got to say, today is election day in South Dakota, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Susan and I both went and voted today. I declined the sticker because I know I voted, and I don't need to be. I don't care who else knows that I voted. But in South Dakota, there is no law against open carry, concealed carry, whatever carry. I went and voted. I was armed I was protecting myself and my sweetheart at the time. I don't. It's beautiful to live in a free state. I absolutely love living in a free state.
The problem I have is some of the polling places are in prohibited locations, like schools. So, oops, I'll probably leave the firearm at home when I walk in.
Oh, my particular polling place is a church. There are polling places in schools.
There you go.
You are not prohibited from carrying in a church in South Dakota.
Right.
I mean, nationwide, there's a school prohibition inside the building. But let me get this one up. You and I were talking about this pre-show, and neither one of us were certain, but I think Charlie is. Congratulations to Georgia.
Yes.
From North Carolina. Apparently it's been signed, Rob.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to. Governor, what was it? Kemp?
Yeah.
Where was that? Yeah, there he is. He was scheduled to sign it today, of all places, at a Gable sporting goods store in Douglasville. That's about 20 miles west of Atlanta. I think he was kind of thumbing his nose at the Atlanta elites, Fulton County, going, cheat your way out of this one, fellas. No, isn't that interesting? It's broadly supported. The media, of course, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, prominent above them, condemned constitutional carry.
Yes.
Blood in the streets. I wondered if there were hip boots in the sporting goods store, for those of you that worry about that. So, and what's amazing is we have politicians who still claim, and what is that, Paul? Half the states have done it now. Oh, it would be too breathtakingly extreme for the next state to do it. Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, and the other permitless carry state that I was going to talk about today is Nebraska, and they will not be number 26, because some legislators that there got the rhino disease. But anyway,
well, can we talk about that, or
yeah.
Was there more you wanted to say?
Well, what I really want to say before we go off on that is, I am very grateful that Georgia got permitless carry before May, because I'm headed down there next month. And I'm so blessed to be. I'll have to pull up a map, but I think almost all the states I'm going to be traveling through on the way down, with the exception of Illinois, almost all of them are permitless carry. And that, man, I am pleased as punch about that.
What you and I want to know in Nebraska, of course, is who killed it, because nominally it had sponsors from, I think, a majority of the legislature. So what you and I want to, this is what happened in Louisiana. What was promised to whom? And here we had some rhino sellouts. I'm sure they did too. What was interesting in Louisiana, people have a very long memory, and the legislature refused to appoint these sellouts to the governor's promised panels and committees. Oops. What goes around comes around. And if this vote was recorded in Nebraska, then we'll know who did what. Most importantly, we'll know who filibustered the bill to kill it, and who wouldn't vote to override the filibuster.
And Patricia Harold will be joining me before we get to. We've been talking back and forth, messaging back and forth. She'll be joining me before we get to primary time. We haven't set a date yet, but
yeah, maybe this is a little early.
It failed by 4 votes.
Yep.
And we know the 4.
Yeah.
Yes, there are 4 legislators that need to end their legislative career this year because they promised they would. And
then they didn't. Well, what they said is the special interests are more important than the voters. And you go, okay, thank you for explaining that to me. I missed it when you were running for office last time. You have to be sure and remember it this time. I thoroughly enjoyed getting some politicians removed from office in California. Didn't win every time, but yeah, I've I've walked a lot of precincts, spoken to a lot of people. A guy who's not only good at it but seems to enjoy that. Our friend Nell from Kentucky used to be on the NRA board. All right, I forgot. We'll get back to him later.
Right. Let me
do we want to talk about Bashir?
Hang on just a second.
Oh, first.
George says, DC Project is awesome. Don't hold your breath waiting for PBS to do a story on them. That's why I'm here, man. That's why I am here. PBS doesn't have to. And George, when was the last time you tuned into PBS, man? That's why we're here. So,
amen to that. But, George, you bring up something brilliant. Paul, you and I are a new invention.
Mm-hmm.
There was an age 2 decades ago. Of course, we got our news from the major media, the mainstream media. PBS was fringed, and now, well, did you see CNN is starting big layoffs? Because why would anybody watch CNN? I can get propaganda. Yeah, propaganda I can get for cheap. I don't need to have to put up with both propaganda and commercials.
All right, and speaking of Nebraska, before we take off to another topic here, John is checking in.
Oh, hey, John.
He says, I'd like to remove some politicians from office in Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be, trust me, John, when we're going to be working on that in the very near future. There are a few that need to have their feet held to the fire. We're going to be working on that. And he also says, DC Project ladies are on my show tomorrow night. There's a good way to get a bump in viewership, man.
And John, check the links early because problems can happen.
Yeah, have them log in early, please. Dianna had issues with me, and we tried right up until I was kicking the show live and trying to get her reconnected, and it just never worked. Anyway, Rob, what do we want to talk about next, man?
Oh, I want to. This just tickles my funny bone. Kentucky had a Republican governor. He was a little too direct with the teachers union. He said, "You guys having a pension is crazy. Go get a 401k like everybody else." They threw their weight around. He got tossed. Now they've got a Democrat governor, and he vetoed a bill that would have allowed attorneys to bring firearms to court.
I love that bill.
So now the attorneys are treated just like every other schmo. No, sorry, counselor, this is a gun-free zone for you. Of course, law enforcement, retired law enforcement, and the judges, no, they're exempt. When they walk across the parking lot, they're covered. You, counselor. Now, what they did to solve this problem in Arizona, in some cases, okay, you have to hold my firearm. You need to provide lockers, magnetometers for everyone, so we know it is a gun-free zone, not one in name only. And I'll check in my firearm, not a problem. I'll get it when I come out. Well, it is a problem, but that there wasn't a bill to force them to accept your firearm. Can you imagine all the lawyers' cars that are going to be broken into and guns stolen around courthouses in Kentucky?
Well,
and they say they want to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. I don't believe it.
Yeah, Amanda and I talked about this around about a week ago when she was on the bullet. I had an occasion a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I had to attend court here in South Dakota, not in my home county here in Minnehaha County, but in another county. In my home county, the public, they have what I call security theater. The public goes through, there are deputies there, and you walk through a metal detector, and then I, completely naked because of my surgery and my stent in my chest, in my heart, I would set off a metal detector. And so they wand you and all that stuff. But you got deputies there. The general public goes through security. The attorneys, the judges, and the clerks and all that, they walk right by it. And so I call it security theater. If one of the clerks decides he's having a bad day, he can go right into court without being searched. He can go in there with a Mac 10, no problem. So
well, and I do you remember, Paul, that I think Governor Beshear mimicked what he saw being done at the U.S. Capitol. For a while, congressmen were allowed to carry, and their staff, in some cases, a blind eye was turned, and now, wasn't it that actually some legislators were given a bad time for carrying in the Capitol as well?
I think,
or was it because they walked around the metal detector? I forget which.
I think that the big thing is when Lauren Boebert got elected, and she said, "I want a DC carry permit," and that's when the establishment freaked the heck out.
Yep. Yep.
But now when I went, but that's my hometown courtroom has security theater. When I went 90 miles northwest of here to a small county courthouse, the security was very, 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 very old gentleman that had a 6-gun that was sitting at the front of the courthouse, in the front of the courtroom. That was security, and that was it. Nobody was looked at as they come in the courthouse. Nobody. You walked in the front door, up some stairs, and into the courtroom, and that was it. That was security. It's illegal to carry.
In a small town, it was your individual recognizance, evidently.
Yeah,
in South Dakota, where are you going to run?
It's illegal to carry in a courthouse in South Dakota, and if you're curious, I followed the law. I did not carry in the courthouse. I was incredibly uncomfortable because the security level was zero.
Well, here's what I wonder is, now in Kentucky, now that Kentucky lawyers hate them, will the Kentucky legislature get rid of gun-free zones?
Not as long as they've got a Democratic governor.
Well, there are ways to fix that.
There are. And I honestly, I feel bad for the attorneys. I'm not totally anti-attorney. I can't be. Alex Uli is a friend, and Alex Uli shows up every other Friday to help. I know a lot of attorneys, and I consider several of them friends.
Oh no, I get it.
But I'll crack jokes about attorneys all day long on the same hand. But I believe. And I hate to say this is going to sound like a platitude, but gun rights are human rights, attorneys included.
Y'all be careful, because when we get together face to face, they're very verbally adept. They can make so many bad jokes about me. I'll be trying to study what they said 5 minutes after they're done.
4 minutes left. Let's cover one more.
How about the ATF nominee, Steve Dettelbach?
Okay, do it. I know very little about him other than Amanda says her friends say he's not a very good dude.
Well, he's a political hack. Now, he was the AG in Ohio, and I wonder how that happened. He donated to Joe Biden and the Democrat National Committee about $5,000. Notice, so he gave the same senators who would confirm him about $5,000. Now, at that altitude, in that orbit, $5,000 that's chump change. But he was endorsed by Bloomberg groups, of course. So what is been promised behind the scenes is more Bloomberg cash for those who nominate him. What wouldn't surprise anyone to find out is he's a law school classmate of Barack Obama.
Okay. I'm going to leave that. That was far too. I had a thought, but
sorry.
I'm gonna. It was far too conspiracy theory. It was far too.
Oh, okay. Well, he's an establishment tool.
Yeah. Well, he's a tool, all right.
This notion of we're going to get to DC and change things. I'm sorry, he's been in that establishment for so long he doesn't know any better. Did you want to talk about Biden's Federal Trade Commission proposals?
Oh, I hadn't even. What's up with those? I didn't even know she put them in show notes.
The things I do to take care of you, Paul. You really should buy me a drink someday. The Federal Trade Commission has issued a proposed rulemaking. They are going to look at firearms. We're coming after your gun advertisements to see if they're unfair, deceptive, and illegal advertising practices. By the way, can you imagine what a Biden Federal Trade Commission can say about any firearms ad? If you say the gun shoots, if you say it will defend you have to prove it. About the only thing you can say is weight and price. You cannot. Wow, you have to be extremely careful.
Yes.
Okay, you say this will defend you. Oh, can you? Then they will trot out essentially lies that say no. We have research here that says guns cause you to be more unsafe in the home. Therefore, you lied. Pay me millions of dollars. And what do you do? If you want to have advertising? So the Federal Trade Commission can be effectively used to shut down any advertising of firearms owners. They can sit there and say, you sold ammunition. Ammunition kills, therefore you. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a good friend that one of his oft-used catchphrases is "elections matter," and I think we're seeing that now.
Well, the one that I prefer, is it Lysander Spooner? The power to regulate is the power to destroy.
Yeah.
So if they say, no, we just want common sense regulation that will manipulate to our political ends. And I got you to the bottom of the hour.
You did. We're just right there now. So what I'm going to encourage everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for contributing by commenting. Come join us again, 5 p.m. Central Time, for the rest of the week. And this weekend, I want to bring up, as soon as I can get my mouse over there so I can, I'm trying to bring up, there it is. I want to bring up my schedule for the weekend. This weekend, Beth Alcazar and Tony Simon are my guests.
You have so much fun.
On Saturday for the weekend edition of The Bullet. Tony Simon, we got to find a way to get that boy out of his shell. It's just
and Beth too. You know what? I'm going to call up Alan, see if you can pay him to run that event, because you'll have so much fun. They're great.
And we'll go ahead.
Before you throw me out, can I tell people where to find me?
Please do.
I host the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. My blog is at slowfacts.wordpress.com. From there, my writing is picked up at Amaland, where I get to write the weekly Armed Citizens column. I'm going to record Tony tonight on my podcast.
Oh, yeah. Talk about it. Yeah. Tony gets around, man. I seen, now I looked over. Now, for some reason, my software isn't picking up comments. Charlie Chambers over on the Facebook side, for some reason, my software didn't pick it up. It's supposed to pick up all the comments. It didn't pick this one up. Charlie Chambers on the Facebook side said, "Print guns, not money." Oh, I love that one. I love that one. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Come join us again tomorrow, noon Central Time. Thanks for watching, everybody.